Hello, Salt Strong Nation. Joe Simons, like Diamonds, back again. This is going to be a fun one. I've had the pleasure of talking offline, Mr. Jack Motley, and we had some pretty fun conversations. We'll probably throw a few of them in here. And first and foremost, Jack, welcome. I just subscribed to your channel. I've been holding off. I have two.
What?
I have two channels. Well, you challenged me. You're like, all right, first person's like, well, man, I can't subscribe to his channel now, but. All right, I got to subscribe to Yak Motley. You're at 100 and it's 160,000.
Did I hit it? Did I hit the mark?
Oh, no, it's actually. I thought it was, and now it's 159. Maybe someone else.
Maybe somebody unsubscribed and I'm back at 159.
Oh, geez. So, yeah, you're real close, dude. You were ahead of us, and you put a
Ticking
challenge
along.
out there. Said first person. Is it to 1 million or?
Yeah, let's run it. Let's run it to 1 million.
And what is the winner and loser? What happens?
I don't know. We could line up 5 shots of Jose Cuervo because if we get to 1 million, it's worth it, right?
And maybe the loser has to drink the worst beer that you've ever done a challenge with. So.
Oh yeah. Those still reserves. They'll get you, or one of the old malt liquors like the Cobra.
How was Busch Light Apple, by the way?
Hey, it was
it.
good. Like it's limited edition right now, and they had them down here. I hunted for like 2 days to find these. Right, I went to every Tom Thumb on the west side of Pensacola, and finally they had them in the back room of the back room. And it's literally like if you drank a Busch and you just sprinkled a little apple in it, that's what it tastes like. So like how like Natter Days is like so sweet, you're just like, oh, I can drink, like I can't even finish this. Well, Busch Light Apple is like, it's got that hint, so you can like, it's a good 3-4 beers in, then you switch to Busch Light. It gets you started. It's like a starter beer, and it's got a good price, pretty cheap. I feel like I'm trying to sell the beer here, but it was legit really good, and yeah.
I'm still trying to find it because we love Busch. I mean, I think it's probably one of the best day drinking boat beers if you're not in the whole whatever all this cider and stuff that's out there. But yeah, well, Busch Latte, man, it's whew.
Well, Natty doesn't have much taste, but Busch Latte, it's got a little hint of taste. They're about the same price, and they got the coolest mountains, and it's the coldest beer. So. Yeah, it's a blue and white can. Natty's red, white, and blue. So it's a Blue Angels coming over. Can you hear them?
Oh, sir. Yeah, I just heard it, dude. Flyby.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the runway is right here. So they come off the runway and come over to my house, and we get the air show 3 times a day or 3 times a week.
Dang, that's awesome. All right, so I know I did kind of a horrible intro, and we started talking about betting each other on who's going to get to 1 million first. But tell everyone real quick. So it's Yak Motley is the channel.
Yep.
You're Jack Motley. What's the whole story? How did this thing come about?
Oh, man, so Motley Crue has taken up all the great names in the Motley realm on the internet, right? So when I started the channel, I just got out of the Army, and I went through 2 pages of names, and I was like, well, I like to talk, and my name's Motley, and I wanted to have the brand kind of around Motley. And I was like, well, talking, and I got a kayak, and some people call it a yak, and I like to talk, so they call that yakking. So I was like, Yak Motley. And I just went with it. And I realized kind of now you can brand almost anything. It's it's literally just the name you upload to. And, and I started in the fishing world, and because that's what I was doing at the time. I had this passion because I was sitting there in Central Texas, and I was watching all these guys fishing, and I was stuck in the Army, and I was like, I want to do that when I get out, and I'm going to video my journey, and I was like, so I'm going to document, not create, I'm going to document my journey. So whatever I'm doing, I'm going to video, I'm going to upload it, and I'm passionate about this. I know nothing really about it. I'd fished a little bit, I could get out there and catch a brim if I wanted to, but I'd never really gone big game fishing, And I was like, you know what? When I get out, I'm going to load up my kayak, and I'm going to go to Pensacola, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to catch a sailfish and a bull red, and I'm going to catch a tuna, and I'm going to catch a tarpon from a kayak, and I'm going to film this. And as soon as I got out, I went straight to Best Buy. I bought a GoPro. I think it was like a Hero 3. You know,
The 3.
there was no audio. It was in
Yeah.
a box, and you had to dub music over everything. There was no voiceover really, and like everybody was just making these little like highlight reels. And I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. And you know, I went out to Pensacola and I wanted to catch a bull red. I was like fixed about catching a bull redfish, you know, because we got them pretty big here, you know.
Oh yeah.
And like I had this like bull red fishing tournament, and it was in November, and I got out. I left in October, and I was like, I went out there and I couldn't catch one. All these guys were catching all these fish, and I was like, man, I was so mad. So I spent like the next 2 months trying to catch one, and finally, when I caught them and I figured out how to do it, it's just like, okay, you can catch these things, you know, and I filmed it and I made me a little highlight video and I put it online. I was like so proud, and I used, you know, those little like formatted like movie templates on iMovie.
Yep.
I used one of those. It's so cringy. It's still on there right now if you go back and look at it.
What was your first video? I didn't even look.
Yeah, it's way back in like 2015.
It's funny to go back and look at the originals.
Yeah, and
oldest. Let's see.
And then like I made like 300 videos in like 350 days after that, and you know,
Your first video only has 1.1 thousand.
Does it?
Yeah, winter bull redfish. That's hilarious. It was only 55 seconds, so it's like
yeah. That's how long the template was, because I had no idea what I was doing. And but yeah, it's, you know, like, and I just wanted to like video it, and then we caught some tuna, and you know, we caught some other random big game fish, and off and running I was going, you know, and now I do the same thing with everything. Like, oh, a barge hit a building in Pensacola, let's go make a video.
I just know you have your Yak Motley hat too, so you got it all.
Yeah. Samantha's mom, my wife now.
Yeah.
She has an embroidery company in Atlanta, so she just sends me all this stuff, and
heck yeah.
And so like I'm always wearing a Yak Motley hat because I got 25 of them.
And that means every day's a write-off.
Right. It's the best business that you could possibly have as far as write-offs.
Yes.
And like my CPA is just like, oh, Jack, you know, like camera hit it, so like you got to have it. That's a movie prop, and
yep.
Also doing business, and you know, I don't do as good as I should with it, but I you know, it's pretty easy to write a lot of stuff off.
Yeah, I don't know if you can see the behind me, but those are all reels. Those are reel boxes and rods. Yeah, my wife's like, "Are you kidding me?" I was like, "Babe, this is a write-off. Like,
I know,
we're
right?
practically saving money on this."
Well, like my problem is like most of my stuff came from yard sales, and like I really don't have that many rod and reels, like, because I've either lost them falling off kayaks or like rolling in the break or whatever. So like I literally have maybe 2 big saltwater reels. I got like a Penn 850. I got a Jigmaster 500 I got years ago off eBay for $10.
Dang.
Got them on ugly sticks. I got 2 Fierce 2 spinning reels, 3,000.
Yeah.
And then I got 2 Abu Garcia Revos, and that's it on like the cheapest ugly stick rods you can think of, you know, and like they rock everything, and I don't have to worry about breaking them or destroying them. And you know, like Brant is the same way. Brant has the junkiest stuff you've ever seen, mostly because he fishes so much they're just destroyed, you know. And like for like as a brand sponsor, like we're the worst ever, because like I'm like, well that'll just, I'll lose that.
That's too nice.
Yeah. Like I had 2 battles, and somebody stole them off my front porch, and I was like, well, I'm not spending that $100 for another reel. I'm gonna go get these $50 ones from Walmart, and I've yet to destroy them. Like, I mean,
funny.
It's crazy how like long they'll last.
Yeah.
And then I just chunk them, because servicing them, you're not gonna service a $50 reel. So
no. Yeah, so talk about the Brant deal. There's probably some people that maybe don't know that. You guys live near each other. You were working in the same office here until recently, I guess, when this nasty storm blew through your neck of the woods. How did that whole thing happen? Were you guys friends, like growing up?
So So funny story. Brant used to hit home runs off of me when we were in high school, and he played at Milton High School, and I played at Woodham, and we had like two of the big powerhouse baseball teams in this part of the country, and we used to play against each other all the time, and he played on one of the local travel ball teams. Well, he went to Florida State, and then I went to Alabama Southern, and we played college ball, and then when we came back, I noticed he started making YouTube videos, and I was making YouTube videos. And one day I ran into him at a bar in Pensacola, and I was like, "Hey man, I saw your YouTube channel, you know, blah, blah, blah." We started talking YouTube shop, you know, and he was like, you know, then he messaged me a little while later. He's like, "Hey man, let's meet up and talk about YouTube." I was like, "Okay, cool." So we met at this McDonald's downtown Pensacola, and he's like, "Man, like, we should get together and try to figure out this whole YouTube thing." Cause we had like 1,000 subs a piece. Like we were not, like, it was nothing. YouTube was kind of like there was like maybe two big YouTube or fishing YouTubers.
Yep.
And so like, I knew a guy that had an office, and it was a big office, and he didn't have much, like he had plenty of space. So me and Brant were like, "Hey, let's go move into that office and let's do this YouTube thing, like seriously." And so we moved in, and then that guy petered out, and like he just kind of, you know, life things happened. And so we took over the office, and me and Brant sat in there for the next 3 years just making YouTube videos and doing like internet type businesses. And Brant had his charter company, and so like he was doing his thing on one side, I was doing my thing on the other. We were buying rental houses and stuff, and so like we took it serious. Like we sat down and said, let's hack this YouTube thing.
So were you guys like filming each other? Like, were you filming a lot of his videos? And
like, so we'd go on a boat, I'd film him, he would film me. Like we'd go together, and then that way we could make two videos out of the same thing.
Yeah.
I'd do it my way, he'd do it his way. And then we learned like that. We got better at videoing. We had a little television show together here locally. And then like, you know, it really morphed into like, hey, we've done really good together. We jive well. Let's keep an office together, and let's come in here every morning and let's talk, let's download our minds to each other. And like, he's done really good at keeping me on track and keeping me motivated. And when you're getting the troll comments and all the haters and all the mean stuff, and he's like, "Oh man, don't worry about that." And then I do the same thing to him. You know, like when his channel really lifted, you know, I gave him the guidance from what I had experienced. And then we were able to, you know, stay on course. And then when we got into the real estate world, we did the same thing. And having that mutual relationship with somebody that's going through the exact same thing is so key, you know. And so like, you know, I hit 100,000 subs first, and because his channel exploded and stopped. And then mine kind of went along, and then mine exploded, and I got to 100,000. And then like, you know, he was kind of struggling. I was like, "Keep on, man, keep on." Keep throwing those 5,000 view videos out there. Keep throwing those 5,000 view videos out there. And then all of a sudden it lifted. And you know, now he's, you know, hit the 100,000 and he's cruising. But I don't think if we would have been there for each other, we would have kept on, you know, and like that was crucial in the beginning.
That's awesome. And then he recently put your number out on the internet. What a jerk.
Oh, I know. Did you watch the video?
I didn't. I just saw all the comments. And I was just like, "Oh, that's pretty funny, dude."
Like all of a sudden I started getting all these screenshots from random numbers, and I was like, "What is going on, Samantha?" And like, I realized that he had shown my buoy for my crab trap, you know, cause you have to have name, number, address, buoy number, and all that stuff.
That's funny.
And I was like, "Brant, man, like rookie move." Like, and you know, it's crazy that you can't hide your information really on the internet. It is what it is. And that's like I was telling you with swatting, you know, like, which has become a real issue. We were talking about it beforehand. You know, swatting is where somebody makes a false allegation on you and to the sheriff's department, and the sheriff shows up with the cavalry, you know, SWAT teams, cars, guns drawn to kick down your door, and they look for whatever it was. And a local YouTuber here, somebody made that call that he was walking around shooting up the neighborhood with an AK-47. And here comes the cavalry, and they blocked off all the roads, and they kicked down his door, and they were looking for this AK-47. He's in handcuffs. Everybody's in handcuffs on the side of the road. And the cop's like, "We heard you were shooting your neighbor's house up." And he's like, is there any holes in the neighbor's house? There's nothing. The windows are still there. Like, what are we talking about? You know? And like, you know, there was a real situation where a local law enforcement had to sit down and like be like, how do we mitigate this going forward? You can't just roll like that. And I'm like, bro, just call me. Just call me. Like, are you really shooting up the neighbor's house? I'll be like, no, you know, we can have a conversation. Don't like come and scare everybody, you know? So, but you know, like that's what happens when your information gets out there, and we get random stuff showing up at the door, even with a PO box, they find it. Yep. Like they found my information when I lived with Samantha and I had nothing on the internet where I lived, you know, like rod and reels would show up and random stuff. And, you know, you get used to it on the internet after a while, and, you know, you realize you're never drinking alone at a bar anymore. And especially here in a small town. And, you know, Samantha's like, my mom went for a job interview and the guy that was interviewing her was like, are you Yak Motley's mom? Like, oh, just great. So she calls me. It's like, you got to stop saying stupid stuff on the internet. Okay. It's affecting me. I'm like, I can't promise you anything because that's just me, you know? So
that's a trip, man. Yeah. So I guess it was this morning. So I go to Google and I was just putting your name in. And all of a sudden, one of the first things that comes into Google, I don't know if you've tried this, but I put in Yak Motley, and it, you know, it tries to autofill ideas that other people would search for, and it says Yak Motley net worth. I'm like, that's interesting. So I click on it.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
What does it say?
It was some YouTube. It was like he's worth somewhere between like $1,900 and 117. It was based on some YouTube, you know.
Yeah.
Dude, it's hilarious.
I'm gonna look that up. Yak Motley net worth.
So funny. Look at I just clicked on the first one. I was just.
That's funny. I've always wanted to have a net worth on there, and I'm like, cause like.
And Google is telling me it was one of the first things that people are searching for. How funny is that, dude?
That's so cool. Cause like I always look at these people that are on like the Forbes magazine.
Yeah.
Like when Casey Neistat was on the Forbes magazine, he's worth $3 million. Like, how did he get on there?
Yeah.
Because like what I saw a lot of YouTubers doing is they were buying ad space in Forbes magazine, because you can do that, get them to write an article about you, and now all of a sudden there's written text out there of you being worth $3 million. You know? And
you're featured on Forbes, and
that's what when you see the, like, you know, some of those you know, big people on the internet, that's how they did it.
That's funny.
And like I saw I forgot who it was asking around on Facebook the other day, was like, hey, can somebody write an article on me so I can get a blue check mark on Instagram, you know? And I was like, oh, that's how you do it? You gotta get somebody to write an article about you? So
cracking the code, baby, the hacker. And I commented on your one picture. I had it over here somewhere, but one of the Russell Brunson books. It's good stuff.
Oh, I mean, I probably do like 50 books a year.
That's awesome.
And I think that's so key, especially as entrepreneurs.
Yep.
You know, is a good reading list. I mean, if somebody would gave me a solid reading list when I was like 15, you know, like not like Othello, but like Think and Grow Rich, you know, like, you know, some of these great speakers, the Napoleon Hills and the Earl Nightingales, and like gave me a mentorship, you know, and like, I would be light years ahead, but now I'm kind of combing through those, and I pretty much hit the end of the Audible business downloads, you know, and that was one thing me and Brant did when we had that office, was share these books, and it catapulted us past our peers so fast.
It's better than an MBA, dude, right? If you go through those books, I mean, you're getting 10 years, you know, or more. Really, they talk about the whole 10 years to become an expert of doing something, but you're getting the best 10 years of everything you've discovered the hard way in, you know, a 200 to 300 page book.
Yeah, I went through the MBA program, and good gosh, I looked at these professors and I was like, what on earth have y'all done your entire life? You know, like when it got to like marketing, you know, and we were full, you know, knee deep with this, and we were like, I was doing social media marketing for local companies, and I told that professor, I was like, this is retarded. Like, this is like, you are missing it the whole show. And we're still here talking about leaflets, you know, like mailing letters, you know, and like, and like, they just didn't understand the future of like Facebook and all, like the way stocks were trading with high intensity trading and things like that.
Yep.
the professors were so far behind the curve, and the way they're still trying to do quantitative derivatives on long-handed sheets of paper, and I'm like, Excel spreadsheet, 5 minutes, like this is like, what are we talking about? I was so aggravated with the whole business school thing, and I was like, literally, I can just go YouTube, how do I do this?
Yeah.
And not sit in your class for 6 weeks.
Did you finish it? The whole program?
No, I got a year and a half through, and I
Yeah, I
told the
wouldn't have.
dean, like, this was a complete waste of my time.
Yeah.
I said, I'm here to network, right, with people, not be online. And at that time, they were trying to call themselves the Harvard of the South. And I said, look, professor, you're not Harvard. I'm just going to throw that out there. And he's like, I can go on the internet and go to school to any school in the country. I came here to meet and associate and develop relationships.
Yeah.
I was like, I can learn this stuff online in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Or I could pay somebody. That's how usually you pay for a CPA, you pay for an attorney. I don't need these theories.
Yeah.
I need, because we're in the world we live in, it's where it's going, not where it's been.
Yep.
And so like I had the hardest time, and I had just got out of the Army, and I remember I was up there, and 6 weeks ago I was briefing generals and congressmen. I was a staff officer for a general officer at 3 Corps, and like this adjutant professor that's never been out of academia is telling me I don't know how to brief. And I was like, what? Like, what are we talking about here? Like, I was like, oh man, I'm out of this place. And the best thing ever happened to me was to get out of academia, get back into the grind, get on this train, and like pave my own way in a forest that hasn't been trimmed yet. So.
I love it. Did you know that MIT publishes every single one of their lectures online for free?
Really? Wow.
It's crazy. And they're basically just proving the fact that, not to say it's worthless, but there's not that much value. The only value at MIT, one is the diploma, I guess, to say you went there, but it's the networking and it's access to the labs to actually like do real hands-on stuff where they're building robots and all that. Mm-hmm. But literally every single lecture you can go find and just Google MIT lectures. And I mean, it's like the whole curriculum, it's there. Like you get to watch anything you want completely for free. It's nuts. I was like, wow, that kind of changes things a little bit.
Well, I think honestly, Google is going to jump into the college realm and destroy colleges and universities.
Yep.
That's the future. And YouTube, like, you can learn anything. You can be a rocket scientist overnight if you want to. Like, you can figure out how to make rocket fuel. Like, there's so many cool things you can learn on the internet now, and universities had that mode of information around them, and you couldn't get to it.
Yep.
And now the internet has blown it wide open, and I just, I would much rather have a self-taught, motivated guy that I hire than some kid that's fresh out of marketing school that has never marketed anything.
Yep.
And like, in our office building, we had a bunch of people that were masters in marketing, and I'm marketing circles around you. Like, by the time you woke up, I've hit 20,000, 50,000, 100,000 people, and I'm on the move. Like, you'll never catch me.
Yep.
Like, that's my personality, is charge, and the Army just kind of like put that into me. Was charge and think about it later. No plan survives first contact. We're just going to let this stuff fly. I got nothing to lose, and let's get after it. And, like, I'm totally with you. Like, the business world is changing so fast, and you either get on board or you get left. And the professional realm of attorneys, doctors, financial advisors, a lot of them don't get it.
Yep. And
they're going to really struggle. Because like what I told you before, when voice takes over, Alexa is going to show the top trafficked sites in their search. And if you're not there, show's over.
Yeah. So, and look, talk about that too, because I didn't know your whole story. I see, what most people see on the YouTubes of the world. You do motivational speaking, some consulting, like you've done a lot. How did all that happen?
Well, like coming from an Army background, like I was a captain in the Army. So like, you're always in front of troops and you're always motivating, you're mentoring younger soldiers, like when they marry a stripper and they've got 3 kids and they're miserable. and you're like, hey, I could have told you that was a bad idea, you know? Like, you're always bringing these young soldiers out of these bad situations. And, you know, like, I had this deep down kind of motivation to inspire. And when the YouTube channel started, you know, growing, and I started hitting that content wall, you know, when you've filmed every fish out there in every situation you possibly can. And I was like, man, I've got more in me than just a fish. Right. And there's so many things I want to talk about, and there's so many things I want to show. I want to show off my hometown, and I want to do it through video, that I kind of started to morph. And when I started getting comments from people in Antarctica and South Africa and Norway and all across the United States saying, hey, that one thing you shared on that entrepreneurial background, or that one idea of creating, you know, wealth through dump trailers, or through like other entrepreneur endeavors, or just documenting my life process. Because if you go back and look at my channel when I was blogging, you know, where I started in front of a dumpy old shack with a bad camera, and then I had an office downtown overlooking the city. You got to watch that process from beginning to end, you know, and that started to inspire. And like, then when, you know, when you start to get some notoriety and people recognize you, and you get your play button, and the content starts to grow, people start asking you to speak on how you got there, you know. And so this is really where I wanted to be, to speak and motivate and inspire. And I feel like I was kind of given the gift of gab, like, and I do this all day, all over town. If I find somebody that is struggling, I'll take 10 minutes to try to motivate them, you know. And you never know who you're going to touch at any given time. And, you know, it kind of all came together. I was in Walmart over here one day, and this guy stopped me, and he was like, man, dude, like, there was one thing you shared that really changed my life. And I actually wrote a book about it, and you're in my book. And I was like, whoa, that's wild. And he was like, you know, he's like, what are you doing here today? And I was like, well, I'm buying a TV for my patio. He goes, nah, man, I'm going to give you a TV. And I was like, what? Like, I don't know you. I don't know I'm just kind of weird. He's like, well, if you'll just take time to come to my house, we want to give you a Samsung, you know, it was like 55-inch TV. I was like, wow, okay.
This is how people get killed, by the way.
I know, right? And I got it there, big, magnificent house, and he had just opened a humongous franchise of car washes.
Huh.
And he's like, man, this is a thank you gift for that one thing you said that got me out of the gutter and got me motivated. And, you know, I get a lot of these.
That's awesome.
Like, you know, moms will email me and be like, that one time when you talked about the Army, I have a son, no father, and he joined the military today, and he's on the way to the Navy, and he's changed his, you know, he's out of trouble. The Navy has him now. And when you get those type comments, for me, you know, I don't do it for the money. I do it because I enjoy mentoring and things like that. And, you know, like, my background allowed me to have a little believability to where people, you know, now want to, you know, ask for guidance, you know, and that's kind of how I got to where into this whole coaching type dynamic. So
you kind of found your why, like your purpose, if you will. That's awesome, man. That's so cool. And I just, you know, looking at your channel, it looks like you went on a truth about series for a while, which all did really, really well. I was even thinking, like, what headline would you give this? Would it be like the truth about Yak Motley? What would be the headline of this whole podcast?
Oh man, you could do that. That's a good one, because it seems like the truth about seems to ring really well.
So funny, yeah, because like
this versus that always does really well, you know.
So 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so 5 of your top 10 are truth abouts. Truth about paddle versus. Ooh, that's a good one. You got the truth and versus. Dang.
Yeah. And I decided to target the ones people always argue about, like WD-40.
That's good.
And like, you know, braid versus mono and stuff like that. And I'm just amazed at what the internet will argue about, you know. And if you've read The Tipping Point, there is analysis behind this. You know?
Yeah.
You know, the connector and the maven. And it's so true.
Yes.
And you can see them in every comment section, you know. And if you can trigger the maven, you can have a big video. And I kind of got away from it just because my life there was some things I wanted to share through vlog format, even though I knew they wouldn't be big videos. Was what I was wanting to create.
Yep.
And some of those have done really well. But like, you know, if you read The Tipping Point, if anybody is listening, read The Tipping Point,
book.
you'll understand marketing at scale. And, you know, there was some theory behind like how I chose those type videos, and, you know, and that's kind of the WD-40 video in a nutshell. I triggered every Maven on the planet, 18 million views, you know? So
what do you have any that would be maybe considered controversial that you didn't film or post?
yeah, I've done a lot of them. That the videos that went big are the ones I almost didn't post.
Isn't that funny?
And the ones that so there was quite a few of them I canned, and looking back, I wish I would have done it. And even like I did that Googans video, and Brant was like, you've got to post that. And I was like, it's going to be really controversial. And he's like, yeah, but that's the internet, man. Like that's the internet. And that's when I really realized you got to kind of bust some of these niches. You know, for some reason, people think that you have to only do one thing when you start a YouTube channel. And I'm like, you know what? That's not fun for me. I just want to do what's fun.
Yep.
And I'm at my best when I let my mouth completely just go. And I let it run and I walk off from it, you know, like that's my world. And that's kind of like, you know, really fits the name Yak Motley. And, you know, the broadcaster at Blab was like, Jack, you just got to let it fly. Just let it fly. And I was like, okay. And that's when I started doing those type of videos, and I got better and better and better. And it's, you know, I enjoy certain types of videos. I love the vlog format, but my wheelhouse is controversy.
Yeah.
And I think that is the key to growing on social media.
Yeah.
It's the gasoline. I call it hand grenade marketing, where you pull the pin, you sit it on the table, and you walk away, and they blow themselves up. You know, so
love it.
That's political marketing too.
Yeah.
I try to stay away from politics. It's a vile world, and people don't seem to be considerate of other people's opinions. It's just there's only one way, as a left or a right, and you know they don't get that. You know, you can be in the middle and be like, well, that's a dumb idea. Well, that's a dumb idea too, and you're kind of somewhere in the middle. You know, and I think that's a lot of America, honestly.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we did one. I haven't done anything political, and it's been at least 5 years. We did the one. You remember that picture? And we were one of the first people to post it. And it was President Obama in Alaska, and he's got two Alaskan females with him, and he's holding the fish. They're holding fish. Everyone's holding fish, and he's wearing these like thick rubber gloves. And the headline that we created, and then it went viral after that, was, you know, 1 out of every 3 Alaskan women wear gloves to hold fish. And there were 2 women, and dude, that went nuts. And I was just like, wow. And of course, you know, and that was in our Facebook group, which we have a pretty large Facebook group. And I mean, it just went crazy. And the majority of fishermen, I would say, are kind of like gun owning conservatives. So, you know, there was a handful of people that were like literally offended by that. And then that got it even more riled up. And I was like, you know what, I'm just going to stay away from the politics.
I mean, he who controls the meme maker can win elections. Okay. People don't understand how powerful a meme maker is, you know, and, you know, and in my world, the vet community has a very disgruntled sense of humor, right? We're quasi crazy, but yet we're sane enough to be in society, you know? So like our sense of humor is very like gruff, you know? So like, you know, when you've got a patriotic thing with a kind of a sadistic sense of humor, like that's kind of my crowd, and you can get them riled up really fast with these type of things. And so like I try to be, you know, I'm a very patriotic constitutionalist, you know, and that's kind of my wheelhouse, and that's where I roam. And, you know, like when people come at me, you're just making me bigger in my group, you know, and, you know, like with a Donald Trump, the worst thing you ever did was pull his tail. Just leave him alone and he'll fizzle. But if you try to pull his tail, like you're getting gasoline. It's like Greek fire. It just grows and grows and grows, you know, And so, you know, I think that's being a content creator in general, you know, is you're managing chaos. That's all you do. People ask me, what do you do? I say, I DJ chaos, you know?
That's pretty good.
And like, you can pick up your phone and in 10 minutes I can get Pensacola stirred up.
So I want to talk about that. How do you handle a lot of the hate? And maybe this will help out maybe the young guy or girl who's just started their channel. And it is, I mean, YouTube is like the Wild West. You know, it's not like Facebook where you kind of have a real profile and a real person.
Yeah.
I mean, I could, like as I said, we got multiple YouTube channels, right? One for personal, one for the Salt Strong side. You could have 10, you could have 100. How do you handle all the just the trash and the negativity? Do you even answer it? Do you delete it?
So like I've morphed, like I'm like a butterfly on this, right? So like when I first started, you know, like I would take it serious and I like argue back. Cause like, you know, like when you're trying to build, you know, like when you're starting a fishing community, like you want to be taken seriously. You want to be taken as a serious angler. Yep. And what I started to realize as I grow, I'm an entertainer, right? It's entertainment.
Yep.
And some people see things on the internet as face value, right? Like they don't get that you did that to be funny or a comedic run or things like that, or it's like no different than TV, you know? And so like you take it serious and you're like, oh man, they don't think I'm a serious fisherman. And then you start arguing back, and you can never argue with a troll. The only thing you can do with a troll is be kind of like a red herring, or you can kind of like be funny with them, or you can, that's why I created Troll Thumper. We have a page on Troll Thumper where YouTubers can take their worst comments and their comments back, put it on the page, and everybody can laugh at it. And so like, you know, I started doing that to make fun about it. And then I started, like, as my skin got thicker, I was just kind of like, you know what, like, let's just have fun with it. And then now I'll answer nice comments, but the other ones I'll let them linger because they're your best gasoline. If you go look at my WD-40 video, that video would not be where it's at if I would have deleted nasty comments.
Interesting.
Because you can go back to those nasty comments now, and there's 1,000 replies to one dude's stupid comment.
Yep.
And then they start roasting each other. And then they just keep going for weeks and months and years. And
you just sit back and enjoy the ride.
Right. That's why I call it hand grenade marketing. Like I commented on Hickok 45's video, and somebody sent me a screenshot of it last night, and it had like 200 replies. And I didn't even know what was going on, but look at the traffic, the cross marketing you're getting there, you know? And like the people that like in the fishing world, they'll try to like take your videos and throw them on a fishing forum or something and then make fun of you or poke fun or Reddit you. Like, bro, you just gave me free marketing.
Yeah.
People that didn't even know who I am are now coming to my channel. So like the old PT Barnum, any publicity is good publicity, works on the internet. You know, like you can't make fun of me and not make my channel bigger. And you know, as long as you spelled my name right, you know, it's and so like I look at it like that. And you know, even if I have a bad video and it gets a few views, or it I messed up, like Brant always say, let it linger, let them argue, let them, you know, time stamp your mess up, because it just adds to the generic traffic, you know, and you'll do better on the next one. And honestly, to keep growing on the platform, you've got to take those things in stride and realize you're going to mess up, and you're just going to keep posting. And 2 years from now, you won't even notice that. You'll be on to something new. And odds are those people will get blocked and trafficked off the platform. And, you know, there's people out there that live in their mother's basement and literally want to drag you down. They're the crab pulling you back in the bucket, and you can't let them pull you back in the bucket. You got to go on to your next thing. Because if I would have stopped at my first bad comment, I would have never gotten to where I'm at, you know? And I'm like, I'm going to make a vlog on this, you know, like when I was wanting to play college baseball, they say, oh, you don't throw hard enough, you'll never do it. I played college baseball. When I got to college baseball, like, you'll never get to a 4-year institution because blah, 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 blah. I did that. When I went to go to officer candidate school, they're like, oh, you'll only 30% graduate. I graduated. When I got to my first unit, like, you'll never make captain, made captain. I got out of the Army. I came here. like, oh, you'll never, YouTube, that's stupid. Got my silver play button. And now I'm sitting here poised that I feel like at any moment I could say something funny and be at a gold play button. And then, so everything somebody told me I couldn't do or I was terrible at, I have accomplished, so like, I don't think like that anymore. My dad told me I'd lose money on my first rental house. Why would you do it? I'm sitting in it. I actually live here now. I bought four houses before I ever lived in one. People said that was a dumb idea.
Yeah.
And I've accomplished every one of these things. So these trolls, only thing you can do is grab a glass of wine and make fun of them. Like, that's the only thing you do. I call it troll bashing. I'll go in my comment section, like after like 2 glasses of wine, and roast, because you can't roast better than me, because I've seen it all. Like, we have seen every comment you could possibly, and I know exactly how to just slap you on the ass, like, and so like, I'm really good at, to the point where like they just need to bow out of the conversation.
That's awesome. I and thank you for sharing that, because I think a lot of people get discouraged, and give up way too early. And I saw, I think it was a Facebook, just a quick little video your boy Brant had done just about that, of like, hey, best advice I give you is be bold, like kind of create an us versus them. I mean, look at Apple, right? I'm sitting here talking to you on an Apple product on my Apple phone over here. And it was all about us versus them. It was us, us versus them from day one. It was IBM and Microsoft. We hate all the guys who wear the ties. And I think anytime you can create that us versus them, man, you got something, especially right now. Good Lord.
Well, I'll tell you this too, and every Batman needs a Joker. Honestly, if you frolicked around in YouTube world and nobody ever said anything bad to you, like probably the only reason why my channel, because I'm a very competitive person, and when I see somebody ahead of me or I have competition, I'll show up every day just to beat you.
Well, that's what I'm worried about. You like chat the second you see my play button, you're like, all right, first person 2 million, we're on, let's do it.
Yeah. And so, if we start having this competition back and forth, now you got to wake up in the morning to beat somebody. So we're making ourselves better, And, me and Brant were racing there for a while, and, we were able to do it without like, getting mad at each other. But like, to be competitive, there was a few YouTubers that I was racing, and like, I showed up every day to get ahead of you. And if it wasn't for that, if it wasn't for somebody saying you can't do this, or me having the ability to prove them wrong, I might not be here. Like, I need a competitor. I'll get complacent without a competitor, and I know that about myself. And because I'm in a financial situation where I don't have to do anything, I can go sit on my front porch and drink beer all day, but that's not good for me. I need a competitor. And so like, I take some of those comments and I'm like, you know what? Game on.
Love it.
On.
And according to your net worth, you're doing just fine. You're anywhere between, you're worth $1,900. How silly is that?
I know.
So what's the future like? What's next? What are the big plans besides trying to get the next button? What anything specific? Like we're here coming into the fourth quarter of the year. What's next?
Man, I just really want to get to 200,000 subs before the end of the year. And, maybe one more rental property. Like, I'm fixing to sell one because I'm kind of in that portfolio transformation to where you get rid of your worst things that cost you the most, time and effort, and kind of reorganizing everything. And I'm really wanting to go more into the digital world, digital real estate, more pages, more affiliates. I really, that goal of 1 million subs, I know the journey to get there will get me into a much bigger place, and me and Brant are really trying right now to take over the real estate sales world, and what a lot of people don't understand with YouTube, they're like, oh, YouTube, how do you make money on that? Well, if you can take eyeballs and have a service, there is no amount of money you can't make. And I think if people knew the numbers of what you can do on a digital platform, their mind would explode. I gave a webinar on this last night to the real estate community, and they're like, oh, you YouTuber, you make $2 a video. Like, if you knew what you could do with eyeballs and networking and relationships and who is watching, like who that one viewer is on the other side, you would be astounded.
Yep.
You know, and you know, like where we show some of the prettiest beaches on the planet every day, and people live vicariously through that camera lens to you. And now they want a beach condo, or they want to live down there in Navy Point or Perdido Key or these places, and you're the first person they know or see. Like, the business opportunities just explode. And I don't think that we've scratched the surface of it, both me and you and Brant. You know, like
and maybe Bama Beach Bum, and it's very questionable.
Yeah. Yeah, he's working it over there, and he's just now starting to kind of grasp it, because I really think you go through a morphing on the internet. Your mind has to expand, you know, like, you know, you start out in this little hole and in the outdoor world, and then as it grows and you realize the opportunities and how many different networking perspectives you get, and then all of a sudden you start attracting other entrepreneurs around you that are also like you and that work hard and have a lot of things up their sleeves. I've met so many entrepreneurs from them watching me and contacting me, and then I sit down for a cup of coffee with them, develop a relationship, and this guy's got 50 or 60 rental properties. He's got a ton of things up his sleeve. He becomes my mentor. I mentor him in certain areas. He mentors me in certain areas. And it allows you, like, the opportunities are just mind-blowing, you know, and every year I get a little ahead of the curve, a little more ahead of the curve. So I wonder in 15, 20 years where this will lead, you know, and, or you'll just be retired, you know? Or we'll be working at Walmart and been sued. I don't know. But I really feel like you got to push the envelope. And like, as Brant said, you got to be brave. And a wise man told me one time that if you're not getting a cease and desist or getting sued, you're not trying hard enough, you know? So
love it.
Yeah.
Love it. I'll put you on the spot. Name a couple like favorite books, and you could have a couple of the big ones you mentioned, the Think and Grow Rich, that kind of were game changing, and maybe even like a random one that kind of was like wowed you that maybe not everyone knows about.
I got my reading list here.
Yeah, because I'm gonna take notes here, because I too love
reading. Like, some of the biggest ones, life-changing collections, was the Les Brown Audible collection, the full library. I think it's called the Ultimate Collection. Jim Rohn's Ultimate Collection, mind-blowing, like life-changing philosophy. I wish they taught this in school. It was literally every question I had as a young man was in this book, and nobody ever told me about it. And, you know, like let's see, the Zig Ziglar library was good. Right now I'm in 50 Cent's Hustle Harder, you know.
Is it good?
It's actually really good. He's done a lot of behind the scenes stuff, you know. Where he goes from selling drugs to now he's worth hundreds of millions of dollars, you know, like that transformation, mind, body, and spirit is just huge, you know. And the 10X rule, just because Grant Cardone is just,
that's a good one. Yeah.
It's just, you know, sell or be sold, because you're either selling or being sold, you know, either it's a relationship or whether you're, you know.
Is that Grant too? Is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Trying to think, you know, I'm really into the money world. So like The Creature from Jekyll Island, if you're a conspiracy theorist, like, and it dives into our financial system, you'll never look at the world again like the same way. And then like the 48 Laws of Power,
that's
you
a good
know,
one.
Like if you're an internet type marketer, like that, and then all the Gary V books, Crush It, and you know, some of those, like they're huge. You know, all the Napoleon Hills, you know, I really will take these books, and every morning I'll play them for an hour. Les Brown, I listen to on the way to the office every morning. I listen to the same one over and over again, and it'll just get me motivated, get me in the right mindset, get rid of all these trolls, and just kind of like put me in a state of zen to say I can accomplish anything. I'm going to make a ding in the world today. This might be the video that does it, you know? And like, when I start thinking like that, like, look out. Like, I don't care if you don't like it. Here I come. You can delete me if you want. If I got to lose 15% to gain 25, here I come. Omnipresent. Like, this Facebook is not going to be around forever. Neither is Instagram. Like, and when I got in that mindset, like on YouTube, did I lose subscribers? Yeah, but I gained so many more, and I started finding my tribe, people with my sense of humor. And, like, the fishing community can be very conservative. And like, if you go outside and you make a beach cart video, oh no, the world's ended, beach cart video, you got a bicycle, oh no, I'm unsubscribing. But that beach cart video got me so many surf fishing people.
Yeah.
That bicycle cart video got me so many of the bicycle community. And then I look at, like, branching out into squirrel hunting. Now all of a sudden, people that I found squirrel hunting are now into kayak fishing. And sometimes people don't know it if they haven't seen it.
Yep.
I believe in marketing. We always think as marketers, let's market to the people that would like this, the fishing community. I believe, and I learned, this in the last couple of years, I'm going to market to people that haven't seen it yet. And now all of a sudden I'm inspiring and motivating.
Yeah.
And they're like, there's 2 billion people in that circle that I can now market to, that's not saturated with what's already been being marketed. I mean, if you look at like how much an ad rate is for a person in Africa or Southeast Asia is comparatively to a person in United States or Florida, you're talking a 10th the amount of money to market to them.
Yep.
And there is a Tokyo boat sale show. There is a Moscow allure show. There is, sunglasses are sold all over the place. And if you look at Europe and Asia, it's way bigger than the United States. Huge. David Hasselhoff got popular in Germany for a reason, like, I mean, like, and if you look at the world like that, like, there are Saudi princes over there getting into kayak fishing, boat sales, things like that. Bahrain, UAE, Iran, Iraq, Syria, like, there are people with money out there that are outside of what we hear in Florida or United States, Canada. And like, when you look at the world in that perspective, there's so many other places to market, and
Yep. Love it.
You can sell an affiliate hat or shirt or sunglasses on Amazon Prime to anybody.
Yeah. And I assume you're doing that, some of the affiliate links and.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of like, I really want to get more into it. It takes time to build it out, but that and the drop shipping and internet at scale, like the quickest way to large sums of money is internet money now.
Yeah. Create an audience and like listen to them. What do they want? And then sell that to them. Right. I mean, that's kind of what in a simple form.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. I was going to throw 2 more that I had read recently. Contagious. Did you ever read that one?
No.
Dude, you will love it. It's, what's the sub headline? Oh, now it's playing. But it's basically why things get shared. So it kind of takes some of the tipping point stuff you mentioned and creates an entire book about why things go viral. It's incredibly fascinating, called Contagious by Jonah something. And the story Lululemon. I talked about that on one of my other podcasts. It was fascinating. I mean, it's a dude. It's a big dude, like a star athlete that was mad because he was a swimmer, that the Speedos would like chafe his legs and stuff when he was swimming and doing triathlons. I just assumed like a chick created it. And this guy created it and created this massive brand. It's how he got kicked out of his own company. It's for someone trying to grow anything, because he grew it and then made some really bad mistakes on how he structured the company and literally found that he had no voting rights and they kicked him out.
Wow.
That
reminds me of the story of Birchbox. When we go on long drives, we listen to those, how they built it. And Birchbox was kind of a really interesting one where, she was taking samples and putting them in a box and selling them to people. And, the companies were selling her was giving her the product. But then when she tried to approach the company to give them the product, they wouldn't do it at large volumes. And she wound up having to buy it. But the company didn't realize that her, kind of like Mystery Tackle Box, what she was doing was giving them so much like traction But these large conglomerates with the gray hairs, running them don't understand these new innovative disruptors.
Yeah.
And like, the golf industry has done the same thing, but she had a super hard time, but it was a super innovative idea. And really you could only do it on the internet.
Yep.
And like, there's so many of these new dynamics popping up that are disrupting everything. And it's just such an interesting time.
Oh yeah.
And
it's fun.
Who knows where we'll be in all this. And it's really mind-boggling.
Yep. Well, I know we'll be chatting hopefully offline afterwards, and maybe you'll see some ideas come from us.
Yeah.
I do think there's just so many opportunities, and man, yeah, I love just throwing stuff out there and seeing what works.
Mm-hmm. And it's really cool when you can get like-minded minds in one room and just throw mud at the wall. And,
yep.
And that's how all this has started. And I think, certain creators, you just have that mindset of, that's why I didn't function very well in the Army. Army is very,
Mm-hmm.
and there was always a running joke between officer candidate guys and West Pointers, that officer candidate guys come from the civilian college world, and we partied and we did stuff we weren't supposed to. And then you had the West Pointers that were very straight in line and never go outside but if you wanted something accomplished outside the box, you sent an OCS guy.
That's funny.
Because he could go down there and buy a NCO a beer and do this and do that. And before you know, he's coming out the other end. He's a social creature. He thinks a different way. And that's the being a pioneer takes an outside the box mentality to kind of get into that. And, like there's so many times where I'll see what a guy did on the other side of the United States, like a Casey Neistat or a small Casey Neistat out there. I'm like, whoa, that's a great idea. And then you seek to start recreating it in your own world,
Yep.
And like, that's kind of where we're at. Is there's no book for this. We're writing it right now, And,
yes. It's fun times, brother.
Yeah.
Fun times. Well, everyone, please go subscribe to Yak Motley like I just did, at least via Salt Strong. I know personally I'm already subscribed to you. So now you basically got 2-in-1 subscribers. So if you do hit 160, you're really one short.
Am I one short? I hate how they don't give you the ticker by the minute anymore. I remember
they did. Yeah.
Like it used to, like you could even go on Social Blade and see it by the minute. Like when I hit 100,000, I was sitting there watching it tick up and tick down, tick up and tick it down. And like, why can't we do that anymore?
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, everyone go subscribe, and you're on Instagram as well, Facebook,
everything. Across the board, even on LinkedIn. I've really been trying to pound my LinkedIn, but it's a struggle bus over there. It's Jack Motley Live on Twitter.
Oh, you're on Twitter? Have you cracked Twitter code?
Oh, it's so hard. It's so hard.
Yeah, it's brutal. Because I've read the Gary V, the one punch, whatever, hack, punch, jab.
Yeah, jab.
Yeah, and like I tried to do Twitter, I could not do it. It was one I just said, you
got to be vile. You got to be crazy, and I just don't have the time or patience for it. I post. It's part of my plan. When I make my 7 posts in the morning, I'll post, and I feel like I'm just going to keep throwing the little pebble in the water and let it ripple, and one day hopefully the ripples come back, and
that's a tough one.
That's the only thing I got.
Yeah. That's a tough one. Well, Jack, keep up the great work, dude. We'll have to reconvene whoever hits 1 million first. And yeah, let's certainly chat offline. We'll have to title this one The Truth About Yak Motley.
That's a good title.
Woo!
It's a winner.
Yeah, it'll probably be a winner. And when you have to see, I had Brant on, I don't know, it was a few months back, and I'll have to show numbers and see who gets the most downloads on iTunes.
That's gonna be a place of contention in the office. Like, how dare you get downloaded more than me?
Love it. Well, brother, keep up the great work. This was really, really fun, and we probably could have talked for like 3 hours on this. I still had a bunch of other questions to ask you, but we'll do it next time.
All righty.
Till then, guys, we appreciate all the love, all the support. Make sure to go subscribe to Yak Motley. And if you haven't already, subscribe to us on the old podcast, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, wherever you might be listening. I know there's like 10 different platforms now. I'm learning more every day about how this podcast world gets. Have you done a podcast yet? Like, do you own one?
We've tried.
God,
like, our attention span is just not long enough. Like, our worlds are too chaotic. We set one up and then we didn't quite like get in the rhythm,
Yeah.
and like we weren't sure how to edit it, and like, you know, it was just outside of our norm, you know.
Yeah.
But I want to do one. I think I'd be good at it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. The man of many, many words. So cool. Well, if you need help there, I'll be more than happy to help you, because we failed at that every which way possible. So cool, guys. We are out. Peace. We'll talk to you on the next episode. Later.